Good afternoon, I'm Shawn Yao, and this is One News Now. Displaced residents due to Raleigh continue to face challenges at evacuation centers, including the observance of minimum health protocols against COVID-19. Romel Lopez with the details.
Several days after the onslaught of Raleigh, 6 towns in Camarines Sur remain submerged in floodwaters. These are Nabua, Bato, Buhi, Milaor, Baaw, and Bula. This is why around 41,000 families or 100,000 individuals still take shelter at various evacuation centers. Residents continue to struggle with power outage and water interruptions.
Sitwasyon namin, minsan may tubig kami, minsan wala. Yung pagkain namin, paabot-abot lang.
Another concern is the higher risk of COVID-19 infections as cases in the country continue to rise. Some evacuees were seen not observing minimum health protocols such as wearing of face masks.
Lumalabas kami, naka-face mask talaga kami. Pag nandito lang kasi medyo parang hindi kami makahinga dyan sa loob.
Bakit?
Mainit.
While the fear is still there, they say they can no longer afford to buy protections against the virus. Raleigh took a great toll on the livelihood of residents, including Mang Alvin, a tricycle driver.
Eh, ganun nga maski face mask, walang donate. Eh, sarili na lang namin yung inaano namin para makabili.
Ay, may pambili ba?
Ay, kung sa pangbili, mayroon kaso, kulang. Eh, anong uunahin mo? Face mask o pagkain ng mga anak mo?
Provincial authorities are assuring the residents that challenges are now being addressed. Camarines Sur Representative El Rey Villaperte says the LGU is looking into the needs of the evacuees.
Parang ang iba talaga nalipad na yung gamit, nalipad na rin yung mga mask nila, pero hindi po rason yan, kailangan talaga bigyan ng atensyon.
Meanwhile, local health workers express fear that thousands of polio and measles vaccine might go to waste. Glenda Trajano, a nurse in Nabua, says power outage make it difficult to maintain the potency of the vaccines.
Kaya ngayon po sir, nag-a-adjust na din kami kung if ever na may mabangang barangay na pwede nang i-accommodate yung vaccination, supplemental immunization, inaano na namin kasi sayang. Maipa-ano na sa mga bata.
Electricity across Camarines Sur has not been restored as well as cellular signal in 70% of the province. For News 5, Romel Lopez. We are One News.
Still on the weather, we have severe tropical storm Shawnee continuing to move westward toward the Luzon Strait. At 1 p.m. today, the center of the storm was spotted some 360 kilometers east of Basco, Batanes. Storm signal number 2 has been raised in Batanes and Babuyan Islands, while parts of Cagayan, Apayao, and Ilocos are expected to leave the Philippine area of responsibility on Friday afternoon. As for the Raleigh after. All right, moving on now to some 20 quarantine hotels nationwide warning that they could stop providing services to OFWs due to the outstanding debt of the OWA or Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. Shyla Francisco with the details.
Several hotels used as quarantine facilities for repatriated OFWs are now unable to pay their employees. They are also struggling to sustain operations. It turns out the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, has yet to fully settle its debt to at least 20 hotels nationwide. The Hotel Sales and Marketing Association also reveals that the balance stands at 250 million pesos for over a month. One of the affected employees is Red. He has not received his salary for the past month due to OWA's non-payment. Because of this, he was forced to stall the payment of his electric bills by submitting a promissory note.
We have to consider or tawagan yung mga payables ko or to ask them for extensive consideration as well. Mapapaisip ka din minsan, how about the next day? Would I be able to put some food on my table?
OWA has paid at least 10% of its 250 million peso debt. However, the hotels say it is still not enough to keep them afloat. Lockdown restrictions have prompted hotels to on OWA on more than half of their revenues. Unless the agency settles at least half of their remaining balance soon, hotel owners fear they may no longer be able to provide for the needs of the OFWs.
The worst case is the hotel will close down. We will not accept OFWs anymore. And we just have to wait for the checkout of each and every OFW guest. Kailangan namin ng pambili ng ulam at bigas at kung ano-ano pa para mapakain namin ng mga OFWs namin.
The Labor Department is giving OWA 7 days to settle its debt.
In less than 1 week, lahat mga payables ng OWA sa mga hotels natin will be fully settled. Kaya huwag po kayong mag-alala mga hotels. Kaya lang namin tinitiyak na yung babayaran ng OWA, tama. Mahirap po minsan, baka hindi natin naiwasan at kamali kayo sa mga figures. Pag na-overpay at kawawa naman yung mga OWA, sila ngayon, ma-audit sila niyan.
OWA says they will comply with the order through its task force.
The task force will strive to expeditiously process the bills, but at the same time, conduct an utmost a thorough review of the supporting document. Right now, we still have the funds.
OWA says it is banking on an additional funding in January, especially with the mounting costs of swab testing and accommodation for OFWs. Shaila Francisco, VR1 News.
A recent SWS survey shows that 4 out of 5 Filipinos' quality of life turned for the worse in the past 12 months. 82% indicated that their lives worsened, while only 6% said they're now in better condition. The remaining 11% of over 1,200 respondents found their quality of life unchanged. The results are among the worst trends in SWS survey history and described as catastrophic. Malacanang attributed this to the COVID-19 pandemic, which spokesman Harry Roque said is currently being addressed.
Tingin ko naman po, from now on, bubuti na po buhay natin. Palabas na po ang bakuna at natututo na rin tayong mabuhay bagamat nandyan ang COVID-19.
We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Keep it here on One News. Good afternoon. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Many Filipino-American workers took healthcare into account when voting for their next leaders. Ria Fernandez shares their stories in this report.
Amid the tight U.S. presidential race is the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. While Americans await the poll results, over 90,000 COVID infections were added to their caseload on Election Day, while deaths are nearing the 235,000 mark. This amplifies the concern of health workers there. Of the almost 2 million Filipino-American voters, 4% or 150,000 are working in the health sector. One of them is Philam nurse Marshall Reyes. He says the candidate's platform on healthcare was the deal breaker when he voted. Reyes himself had caught the virus. He stayed at the ICU for 11 days and nearly a month in total in the hospital.
I was critically ill for 11 days. I was in ICU, and for almost a month I was in the hospital. Nagka-COVID ako. Nakita ko yung kapabayaan ng current administration with regard to how they handle yung pandemic. Ang sinasabi ni Donald Trump is, parang ano lang yan, parang flu lang yan, mawawala yan. Pagdating ng summer, patay lahat yung virus na yan. It's gonna go away. He did not take it seriously. So that's why, we're number one now. How many Americans died already?
Then Republican Marshall, along with his wife, voted blue this time.
Lumipat ako ng Democrat kasi nga nakita ko yung pro-immigration program ng Democrats at saka yung healthcare, yung reproductive healthcare. I mean, mas ano ako sa kanila, mas medyo progresibo. Democrats are very supportive with the immigrants.
The National Nurses United is also vying for an administration that believes and listens to science. Chito Quijano, National Organizing Director of the California Nurses Association, NNU, says there are already 1,700 health workers who died due to COVID. 30% of these are Filipino nurses.
Marami po tayong mga nurses dito na namatay, no, dahil sa kulang yung proteksyon na ibinibigay ng hindi ginarantiya ng gobyerno yung proteksyon. Kung si Biden yung magiging presidente, okay, nangako siya at sinabi niya na i-invoke niya yung Defense Production Act upang makapag-mass produce ng sapat na personal protective equipments or yung tinatawag nating PPE. Okay? Tapos inendorso din niya yung panawagan ng union namin, ng National Nurses United.
Doors for Filipinos who want to work as nurses in the U.S. are seen to open anew under the Biden presidency, according to Ricky Rillera of Philam Press Club of New York.
According to Biden, sabi niya meron daw siyang blueprint on what to do with it. So again, it's a promise. No? But with the Senate in control of the whole thing, yung mga nurses natin and other professionals, because hinold ni President Trump yung yung H1B visa, no? So hindi sila makarating dito ngayon because ang ginagawa ngayon ng Trump administration is to raise the fees of employers of getting professionals from the Philippines.
But home care owner Glenn Diap, who supports U.S. President Donald Trump, begs to differ.
He responded aggressively to the coronavirus. By clamping down on travel from China. So he did a travel ban from China, and then he get all the needed PPEs. With the Democrats and with Biden, they politicize everything instead of helping Trump.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
And a political analyst says whatever the result of the U.S. presidential elections, it will be a win-win scenario for the Philippines. In an interview with the Chiefs, Analyst Malu Tiquia says that Democrat Joe Biden, who is currently leading the race, will most likely focus on leaving a good legacy. She also believes that the country will remain in status quo if Trump wins.
Both ways, kung si Trump hindi mangingialam, sa tingin ko dahil Democrat siya, ang default nangingialam. Pero dahil centrist si Biden, at his age, I think he will do more of a legacy. Si Trump, more or less nakilala na natin siya sa 4 na taon. Sa tingin ko walang pagbabago yun. Sa tingin ko, he will remain as he is.
Meanwhile, political analyst Dindo Manhiet highlights the importance of the U.S. elections, whatever the result will be.
The U.S. election, of course, is reflective of the position of the United States in the world. It is seen as a global superpower, not only in the economy, as a leading global economy, pati na rin sa military and defense position nila in the world. And nakikita sa kanila kung ano nangyayari sa U.S.
And as for the latest on the U.S. presidential race, Democratic challenger Joe Biden expands his lead over Republican incumbent Donald Trump. As of 5 p.m. Philippine time, Reuters projects that Biden is up by 29 electoral votes, with only 27 points away, or being only 27 points away from the magic number of 270. Biden's win in the state of Michigan, which flipped to blue, boosted his chances against Trump, who needs 56 electoral votes to secure another term. And amid all the election uncertainties, Biden has promised to rejoin the Paris Agreement upon his predicted inauguration in 77 days. The U.S. on Thursday formally left the Environmental Accord, fulfilling an old promise by President Trump. And this comes as the incumbent's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, said they will request a recount in Wisconsin. According to Stepien, there have been reports of irregularities that raise concerns on the validity of the results. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.